Namaste, everyone. A couple of days ago, my teenage son asked me a question that, in my experience, only Ayurveda can answer. So his question was this: Mom, why is it that my friends can eat whatever they want and they don't put on weight, and I do? So let's park that for the moment. Now, remember in Ayurveda, there are three dosha types comprised of the five elements. So you've got vata, space and air. So there's a lightness there. You've got pitta, fire and water, medium. They're very much in the middle. And then you've got kapha, which is earth and water. And specifically because of that earth component, there is already an inherent heaviness to this dosha. Remember that we oftentimes are made up of two or more of the doshas. So you wouldn't generally have an individual that is predominantly biased to only one of the doshas. Okay, so you've got light, medium, heavier. Now, in the case of vata kids, because they've got that lightness, that spaciness, they are more predisposed to things like ADHD, anxiety, sleep issues, that kind of thing like that. Pitta kids sit in the space where inflammatory imbalance is more prevalent. So here you would see perhaps issues with their eyes, their skin, anything that's inflammation related. And then if you move over to your kapha kids, this is where you have your metabolic imbalance. So this is where you would see kids that are overweight, that struggle with insulin resistance, that kind of thing. Now, let's get back to the question. In our family, we are predominantly pitta kapha, but from a physicality perspective, we sit predominantly in the kapha space. So it's like this. If we are confronted with a scary stranger in a parking lot, we're not going to be the vatas that sprint and get away really quickly. On a bad day, we might be the pittas with that fire that bite, but the chances are we are more than likely going to sit on whoever it is and cause damage in that way. Why does this become important for kids to understand? For my sons, who are built for rugby, built for endurance, built for strength, it becomes important for them to understand how to harness that. Just because metabolic imbalance, overweight, insulin resistance is predisposed because of your mind-body type does not mean that it has to become self-fulfilling. So how do you harness the strength? How do you harness the inherent system that you're made up with? Similarly, with your Vata kids, how do you harness that lightness and that lightness of being, in a sense, is you anchor and you ground. And with your Pitta kids, how do you manage the inflammation, that overheatedness that comes from being a Pitta? You harness, and you harness through the following ways: through diet, through routine, through lifestyle, through the extramural activities that they engage in, through the practices that they engage in beyond school. So are they engaged in mind calming practices? And here's a really interesting example. At the age that my kids are at, gaming is very, very much mainstream for them. And so I've noticed with my sons that they've got friends that are more Vata predominant. And of course, I've said my boys are more Kapha predominant. And so when they game with these kids, I've noticed that after a shorter period of time, their Vata biased friends are a lot more wired because of the overstimulation. Whereas my kids are more prone to kind of sitting still, staying put, and not being as active.